Same is in this particular area. See, vicinity, it's a walking distance, and within this, a person few hundred meters away, just few hundred meters, this distance. So this particular area, you see the temperature 29 to 31. Here you're seeing 32 to 36. In this small area, small area. See the small area. Within this small area, 3 to 4 degrees difference in the temperature conditions are being seen. And when we say there's a difference in temperature conditions, so it does not have one connotation. It has multiple levels of connotations that are attached to it. That are attached to human health and well-being, that are attached to your energy consumption, that are attached to your more the energy consumption, which means the people living in these areas are spending more. So it is not only the energy consumption, it is the financial implication for the people. See, NDVI is the vegetation index that we calculated, and LST the land surface temperature, and it is seen, say negatively. If you see the correlation matrix, so negative, very high negative correlation has been seen. The green cover increasing, temperature will reduce. The green cover decreasing, temperature will increase. So the NDVI, normalized difference vegetation index, and the land surface temperature, they're inversely related to each other. Means more the good quality of vegetation there, temperatures will be little lesser than its surroundings. So the presence of vegetation somewhere limits the temperature increase. So it's only at a smaller level. I'm talking just one corner, one district of Delhi. Right? So we're saying that vegetation is somewhere limiting the temperature increase. So when the world is facing global warming, and if we the experts are now saying that yes, you have to enhance the green cover as one of the important aspect to combat the increasing temperatures. So I told you we had taken the sample of 552 parks. Right? Now, if I tell you the vegetation condition, and there are two aspects that we need to understand is one, as part of planning, there is a provision of park. Very interesting, parks are there. But how the second aspect to this work is how these parks are actually managed. You created parks, you have parked the area, you created certain boundary that it's a park. But when we're talking about vegetation, so what kind of a vegetation? What is the health of vegetation? What is the condition of that park? I'm sure our civic bodies maintain these parks in these whatever residential or commercial areas, right? So if we see in this current case, 247 and 83, so around 63% of the parks, 63% of the parks, the vegetation health is poor. A couple of minutes back, I was saying that we should have parks. Fine, we have seen that in the planned areas there are parks, which creates a difference. In the unplanned areas, where there's just concrete, there are no parks. We are seeing the difference in the vegetation, and we are also seeing the difference in terms of the land surface temperature. Okay. Now we are moving to the second aspect of this work, that okay, let's now peep it into the park, what is happening in the parks. And it is found that 63% of parks, the vegetation condition is absolutely poor. And 30% of the parks were the moderate kind of a vegetation, health of the vegetation. And only around 6%, if you see, only around 6% of the parks that the vegetation has good condition. So what is here? Now there's another aspect that is entering here is that not only the creating the provisions, creating their boundary and saying this is park, you the civic bodies also have to ensure the health of vegetation. Well, if there is no grass or there is no care has been taken to those areas, just imagine if this 63% of park, if they are also in the moderate or a good condition of vegetation, then the impact would be much, much higher. So it is not only important to create space, it's very important that how these are maintained. So in this case, if we see that we really need, we the civic bodies really need to look into this aspect if we want to achieve the kind of targets that the cities across the globe are looking for. From that particular map, I have cut the smaller area to make it little more enhanced to see. Right? This all was uh, unplanned area. This all is unplanned area. This is a small planned area. This is a small planned residential area. Okay. Within these parks, some are very small parks, some are maybe little bigger parks. You can see different sizes of parks. Depends on what kind of a commercial or a residential area it is, and what kind of a space available. So right from pocket parks to the district parks, we call here in Delhi as district parks. The and you can see the variation in the shades. So among these 552 parks, the health of vegetation almost nil to very good. In the same areas, if we calculated, now I'm not calculated for rest part of the this area, only the parks are being analyzed here. And if the park health of the vegetation is not good, for example, you can see this is also park. All the red orange are the alarming things, and yellow is 29 and 30 degrees. This is 29 and 30 degrees of temperature, both greens, and after that 30 to 34 degrees of temperature. So in these parks, they are parks, but if you see the temperature is very high, if you see here, because the vegetation cover is very less. If the vegetation is not healthy, vegetation is not healthy, then the park is just a piece of open land, right? And it is in that case, it is just will work as an any other concrete area in absorbing the heat until unless, yeah, we can see certain green areas also. Until unless the park's health of the vegetation is maintained, the larger target will not be achieved. See the percentage of parks and the various temperature range. Now here again you see these many parks, right? And temperature in different parks, different categories of parks, different temperature conditions are being recorded. We also try to categorize those areas. In that entire study area, we see there are unplanned residential areas with no parks. So the unplanned residential area where there is no provision of the green patch, the parks, the NDVI rate is in minus. That means there is no vegetation, and the temperature is around 32.6, say around 33 degrees. Planned residential areas with parks. Vegetation is moved on the positive side, and there's a difference of almost 1 degree of temperature. Planned residential areas with proximity to parks. If they are close to parks, the available green is better, and there's a difference of 2 degrees of temperature. So the parks with normal green, the temperature seen is as 29 degrees. You can see the difference, 33 and 29. If the park is with good health, rich green, then the temperatures seen are 26 degrees. Okay, and we in our that area, that river Yamuna floodplains and forms, so I'm not considering this at all. So if the health of the park is seen, is taken care of, then you can see the difference of the temperature. With no parks, almost 33 degrees, and if we have parks, interlaced parks and the buildings close to the parks, and if we increase the health of the vegetation, if you enhance and if you work on the health of the vegetation, then in which direction it is going to take. Now here you can see vegetation index and LST, land surface temperature. The table that you have just seen, these are, this is showing the unplanned areas with no parks. So the vegetation. Here is the NDVI range, that is the vegetation health, and here is the temperature conditions. See, no vegetation, temperature high, around maybe around 28 something, right? Vegetation is increasing, so the vegetation is increasing. You can see vegetation is increasing in different categories of area, right? And the temperature is decreasing. Vegetation here, no vegetation, temperature is high. So at the in different categories, if we see, the vegetation is increasing and the it is temperature is decreasing here at 26 degrees. So yes, there is a significant association with the kind of green it has and the local temperature conditions. Now here I'll show you, these are all your unplanned. This is actual Google Map screenshots, right? Unplanned residential areas all come through concrete, right? NDVI very low and the temperatures are higher seen in these areas. This planned residential areas interlaced with the green. These are small parks, right? Bigger parks, small parks, pocket parks, right? See, it is, yes, it has a direct impact on the kind of well-being of people, the kind of, whether it is energy consumption, whether it is the pollution, and whether it is the availability of water, everything. It is impacting everything. And these are all the parks that has been digitized by us for collecting the um, calculating the NDBI and calculating the LST. Here I'm showing you one particular park, right? This is the area and this is the park. It's a very big park here, you can see. So this section of wherever there is, you can see there's a walking track also, right? There's some little, maybe seeing some water aspect and the green. So you see the vegetation index. Here is a open patch. There's nothing, no vegetation, right? No vegetation here. So you can see the green cover is also different levels of green you can see. So same for this particular one park. For one park, if you see the vegetation index, this is the real aspect how the park actually appears. This is the